Alright, so basically I want to come real quick, real fast. I want to talk about how the vegan diet is basically rooted in occultism and witchcraft. Basically, in a nutshell, what I want to say is that African science and has been made what you known as witchcraft, and occultism is rooted in African spirituality, basically. And basically what happened is that it's been shunned and looked at as it's been demonized and looked at something that's bad. Basically, when the Romans, the Roman Empire and the Catholic Church basically took rule, that's when all other forms of spirituality, that's when these things have been shunned, and it was illegal. I guess you could say it was illegal to practice these things. So basically what happened was people practiced these ancient arts in secret. So it became a secret. It was only certain people who was available to know certain things. That's why when you look in the whole history of the witch catching thing and things like that, these people that they was calling witches, these was just people that was practicing what you want to call it. They was practicing the spiritual reality, or I guess you could say that the spiritual form of being in tune with nature. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you travel back and you go to Africa, where it all began, where it all started, it was in tune with nature. You had universal principles, and each universal principle was basically deified to explain that principle. That's the way that they taught things. And this information traveled basically all across the globe. And every indigenous aboriginal people, the practices are very similar. Okay? So this form of spirituality in this ancient teaching spread all across the globe, and which comes from the heart of Africa, which basically gave rise to the ancient Egypt civilization. All of these people come from the heart of Africa. Mostly all the dynasties and majority all of the kings was Nubian, and only a few was the Hyksos or Asiatics, when they actually came in and took power for a very short period of time before the Nubians, the Africans, actually took their land back. So when you have Egypt falling and finally being taken over by the Greeks, that's when things began to change. That's when that form of spirituality and that ancient teaching is now being put into a Greek format and in a Greek language. So the principles is still the same. So now I want to show you this. You probably can't see it. And I got it upside down. I will be doing that, right? So this is the Gnostic scriptures. And this book was found in Egypt in 1945 or 1947, I forget. And they found it, and basically what happened was someone during probably the early 200 AD, 300 AD, somewhere around up in that time, hid these books around the time when I believe it was the Roman Church, the Catholic Church, set out to demolish all ancient forms of the old practices, so to speak. They set out to demolish it. You couldn't practice it, you couldn't claim it. It was Roman Catholic or die, Christianity or die. So in this is an early form of Christianity where the ancient practices are basically inside of this new form that was beginning to take place. Okay, so you can see how they have a creation story. They have a creation story that's very similar, even though the names has changed, but the whole symbolism and the whole structure of it is very similar, or almost exactly the same to the ancient chemist story about the evolution of man, the evolution of the universe. You know what I mean? Where you got Nu and Ra and Shu and Tefnut and Geb and Nut and Aset and Asar. You understand what I'm saying? And Set and Neptet and Heru. Each of these principles represent a certain aspect of that evolution process. Like they say, Ra, of course, is the sun. Nu is the primordial waters, that very substance, the unknown substance that everything manifests from. You understand what I'm saying? And Ra is the personification of the sun. Okay, who gave birth to Shu and Tefnut. And Shu is the air or wind, and Tefnut is moisture or water, I believe. And then you have Geb and Nut, and Geb is the earth, personified as the earth, and Nut, I believe, will be. You know what, I got the wrong, so I just want to start right there, because I believe, I don't know for sure which one is Nut and Tefnut. I forgot what them is. I could look it up real quick, but I don't want to do that. That ain't what my whole point was bringing us to. But I'm trying to give y'all understanding on this whole occultism and witchcraft thing. So basically, that whole ancient form is inside of that Gnostic teachings, which is Greek. And then what you have rising up from that is the Christianity, the Coptic thing, which is Greeks. And basically that's when the Christianity thing began to form itself from, because Christianity is rooted in ancient Kemet. See, the symbolism is there, and the names has changed, and basically, the powers that be began to do things that they see fit, with the information. That's why they burned the Library of Alexandria. They burnt it down. A storehouse of ancient information. They got rid of it after they finished their works on the Bible. Once they got their Bible thing together, once they took everything that they wanted, they burnt all the evidence. They got rid of it. It's this now. This is what it is. It's ours. They took what they wanted and got rid of the rest and claimed it for themselves. Basically that's what happened. So after that, now you got to look at the whole aspect of what you would call the Renaissance. And I believe the Renaissance is I'm hoping I'm not messing up too bad, just coming off the top of the head, but that's the wars that take place between the different sections of schools of thought of Christianity and Islam, because different people believed in different aspects of it. So they was actually fighting over who had the true form. You understand what I'm saying? And basically what happened was whoever was the most powerful people and did they thing at war was basically they aspect of their version of their religion was basically going to reign over the land because they was the most powerful people or whatever. But so you got to look at the whole history of the heretics. And basically these was people that was coming up and they was studying the ancient arts, and they was trying to enlighten people, and they was trying to show the church, the Catholic Church, and basically the people that, this ancient form of the art is the true way. It's the true way. It's the most important information that we need to be studied. And you can study the cat Bruno. I forget his name, but Bruno, whatever. He got killed, and he was trying to teach, and with so many people that was trying to bring back these ancient teachings and to show people about astrology, and to show the contradictions inside of the Bible and things like that. And they tortured these people and they killed them. Even with the Greeks, all them people that studied in Egypt and try to bring that information back over to their land, them people, they got exiled. That was an ancient form of information to them. They didn't want to deal with none of that. Them people, they was trying to kill them people. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where this ancient form of information and this ancient form of spirituality began to get demonized. That's where you get the witchcraft aspect. That's where you get the voodoo aspect. That's where you get the occult aspect. The occult just means that which is hidden. This hidden information, it was hidden. Everybody wasn't learning this information. Aster Crowley, however you say his name, he was studying ancient African information, and they basically said he was the most wickedest man alive. What was so wicked about him? What was wicked about him? He wasn't into the church thing. You understand what I'm saying? So he was studying the ancient form, he was studying the ancient arts or the ancient information or whatever you want to call it, and it's demonized. So why is it demonized? It's demonized because it's not what the powers that be say. It's what the powers that be say it is. You understand what I'm saying? And these people didn't want anybody studying. They wanted to fully erase it. You understand what I'm saying? They wanted to fully erase it. And there's another book I should have brought up here. Which is the Hermetica. Because in that book you have basically, during the same time that the Gnostic scriptures was wrote, you have them same Greeks who was probably half Greek and half ancient African or Egyptian, whatever you want to call it. The same people that the Coptics is. They're a mixed breed of people, they're amalgamation. You understand what I'm saying, with the Greeks and the Africans. And it's some things written inside of the Hermetica book where it states that one day that the ancient ways was going to be basically a new form was going to rise, and the ancient ways was going to basically fall. But one day that it states that one day that the ancient form or the ancient teachings will rise again. And that's another good book that you can read if you into this thing. You understand what I'm saying? So let me cut to the chase, because I can just go on forever. Let me cut to the chase. Basically, the vegan diet. If you study in these things, well, let me say this first. So when the Greeks came in, and when all of these European type people and Asiatics, when they began to study this, these ancient African mysteries, basically in Egypt and, you know, other places, you know, it was a mystery to them. They wanted to crack the code of this mystery. They knew it was magic there. They knew it was something special in the information that they had. You understand what I'm saying? So they wanted to get that information for themselves, and they began to try their best to decode all of this information that was left by the ancient ones, our African ancestors. So basically you have evidence and fragments of information that's left over in teaching in books, where it states the purification of the body, of withstanding from eating meat, to purify yourself, to purify your body, to be initiated, and to become, basically in a nutshell, to rise yourself higher, a higher form of spirituality, to raise yourself higher in your higher self state. You understand what I'm saying? So if you read any of these occult books or ancient magic books where it talks about spells and things like that, first thing a lot of spells they will tell you is withstand from eating meat for 7 days, 2 weeks, or whatever. That's part of a ritual to withstand from eating meat, you know, because basically you will purify your body, and you will be at a more powerful state, basically concerning your law of attraction, or what have you. So this book here, it talks about it all through here, and this is going back to that Coptic era, to that Gnostic era, when they was before the Roman Catholic Church, and probably even during the beginning of the Roman Catholic Church, before they, you know, banished, you know, and sought to destroy all the ancient forms and ancient arts, whatever you want to call it. It's all through here. Another book, I came across it. This is, I don't know if y'all can see that. Secret Practices of the Sufi Freemasons, right? Islamic Teachings. So this is a unorthodox form of mystical form of the Islamic teachings, right? And in here, he talks about how withstand from eating meat, part of the initiation ritual. The first time I seen it was in a PDF book. I cannot find this damn book, and I was skimming through it a couple years ago. But during that time, I was actually trying to find something else, so I really wasn't interested in that book all that much. And basically, it was basically going back to that time when the Greeks entered into Egypt, and they was seeking to learn the mysteries and this ancient information. And it's basically, it's a letter. It's a student and a teacher writing back and forth to each other, and the student is asking questions and the teacher is answering them. And another thing that I came across inside of that book was withstanding from eating meat. of initiation process. Okay? So basically what I want to say is that the whole vegan diet is being pushed, and you know, if that's something that you want to do, I've been vegan for almost 3 years now. And if that's something that you want to do, it's nothing wrong with it. It's the benefits of it, you know, is great. But I think also that along with that diet, you should also, I believe that you should also study ancient Africa, so you can get a fully understanding on your ancient past of your ancestors. Because I think if you don't do that, and if you haven't removed yourself from the dogma of the religions that's been shoved down our throat and basically programmed our minds, you know, if you're not studying and waking up and seeing the history of it, so you can see where certain things was put in and why it was put in, for reasons of controlling the people. So that way you won't get caught up in being in fear and rising to a higher level, thinking that it conflicts with your religion. So, you know, if you still want to be a Christian, or if you still want to be a Muslim and be a vegan, go ahead. But, you know, it's not really a religious thing. You know, the vegan thing is not really a religious thing. And if you look at majority vegans, especially ones that been doing it, I guarantee you most of them are not into the religious thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because like I said, you know, the fact stands for itself. It's rooted in the ancient past. It's rooted in the ancient past and the mystery system, where these people came in and they sought to learn these mysteries for themselves. Freemasonry is rooted in ancient Kemet. You know, when they came over there and they began to study and take all the monuments, that's when they began to form themselves Freemasonry, and they're using all of the knowledge of the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Africans. You understand what I'm saying? And they're doing it in secret. They're doing it in secret. You know, they're giving you these religions that they created and that they took from Africa and reformed and restructured, and they're pushing that to you, and then they're studying the ancient Africans in secret. You understand what I'm saying? So basically that's all I wanted to say, is that, you know, I think it's important to understand that we've been duped. We've been had, you know, and it became a time now where we can share this information and get this information out, because it was a time when, you know, people was killed, people died to try to get this information out. You know, it was illegal to learn this information, to know this information, to understand this information. You know, they'll tell you in the Bible, don't study any divination systems like astrology and things like that. But you see where astrology is even incorporated in the Jesus story. Well, I seen to where when Jesus was born, a magi seen a star in the sky. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, which is very similar to the Buddha thing. When Buddha was born, it was some Magi's who basically, if I can remember correctly, who basically mapped out and knew that this was going to be a special child, by mapping out the stars in the sky during the time of his birth. So, and that's another thing that our ancient ancestors brought forth was astrology, the studying of the heavens. That's what they was all about. The pyramids was aligned to certain star constellations. Monuments was aligned to certain stars and things of that nature. I talked about how the Sirius star rose, and that was the indication of the flooding of the Nile that brought salvation to the land, which is very similar to our New Year's date and the Christmas thing. You understand what I'm saying? So, study ancient Africa, study the ancient sciences, and it's also important to understand too that everything emerged out of Africa. Everything emerged out of ancient Kemet. All spirituality forms did. The Arabics, they came in. Bam. The Greeks and Romans, they came in. Bam. You understand what I'm saying? Ancient Kemet stretched out. The Africans, they stretched out all the way over to India. You can see the similarities in India, and it's probably a lot of books you can get out there, but this book ain't all that, but it's some information in here. If you want to learn about the chakra system, because what I believe is that the information, just like Professor James Small said, that we have fragments. All these religions are just fragments of ancient Africa. So all we have is these fragments. That's why I don't mind studying the religions. That's why I don't mind studying Christianity. That's why I don't mind studying Hebrew or the Torah. I just got this Dead Sea Scrolls because I understand that these things are African. It's African, So I believe when I'm studying all these different forms, I believe I'm putting the pieces together, I believe I'm putting the pieces together, and I believe I am solving a puzzle. That's why I study these things so hard. Another good book that you can get, Esoteric Interpretations of Things in the Bible. This is a good book. This is a good book. I'm telling you. Y'all think I'm playing. Check this book out. Check this book out. Check this book out. I ain't even gonna go into it because I gotta go. And I've been talking enough trying to just run down the history and how ancient Africa has been demonized, and that's where you get the whole witchcraft thing and the whole occultism, but it's really just African. That's all it is. And Africans has been demonized, been seen as bad, and get this book. And if you read this book, you can see how Christianity took a lot of its forms and symbolism straight from ancient Kemet. All right, I gotta go. My son calling me, so I gotta go. So, check them books out. Study your ancient past. And just understand that Africa has been demonized. Africa's been demonized, and they studying your shit in secret. You understand what I'm saying? They studying your shit in secret, and take your knowledge back. Empower yourselves, fortify yourselves. Eat the best you can. Your colon is directly connected to your brain. You understand what I'm saying? So, power up, read up, boss up.